to all 7 of you now that watch my channel. Today, we had some nice weather. We took the water scooter out for a little ride. We got a new milestone. A new personal record for this engine that I can actually record is 20,000 RPMs dry revving it. I think it was 20,100 or something like that. By the time I realized what it was, I let off the throttle. I did get the GoPro out and I did record it, so you guys will have a cutscene of that. I do a beadlock on this now. We did do another top speed run. Top speed run was still the same of 33.4 mile an hour. It was exactly the same as it was without a beadlock. The bonus of the beadlock is now this thing's super stable. Like, I'm comfortable riding it wherever I want. However, as much as I've finagled this carburetor, I even cut the spring in it in half, trying to get the pop off right where I need it to get rid of the bog. This carburetor cannot supply enough fuel per signal, per vacuum signal, for this thing to run properly during mid-range. It runs phenomenally wide open throttle up top, and it runs phenomenally at idle. But going from idle to wide open is a challenge. It just bogs, it doesn't get enough fuel until it gets just before the power band, and then it just takes off like a spaceship. And that is okay if this engine was inside of an RC boat, which is what it's designed for. It is not designed to be on a scooter with a human riding it. So if you think about, maybe a 2-inch prop in the water, that bog wouldn't be an issue, and you'd be able to see maybe 18,000 RPMs loaded in the water. The most we're getting out of this right now loaded is, the highest I seen was 15,700. So that's the highest loaded RPM I can get when this thing has a 20,000 RPM dry rev. I'm gonna switch back to their carburetor, because there is no sense in having this thing rev to the moon like that dry if I can't make any power up there. So I'm gonna switch back to the other 668 carburetor that was on this thing. And I'm gonna tune it dry rev to see if I can get the same RPM out of it. Hoping I can do that. If not, whatever. But if I can get a higher RPM loaded with that carburetor, since it has a better fuel delivery than this one does, then I think that's gonna be the better bet. Basically, the quest that I'm having with this, I want 35 mile an hour out of a hard tire GoPed with a spindle of 700 or lower. So this does have a 700 Black Magic spindle on it, and I want to do 35 mile an hour with that or a smaller spindle. I mean, maybe I could downsize to like a 675 and see if I can get the RPMs higher. But I feel like I hit 15,700 and it's like a wall, bam, and it's like I can't get over it. So no matter how lean I make the high, I still cannot get over that hump. So what we'll do now is we'll show the video of me doing another test ride of this. With the beadlock, it's great. What happens with the beadlock versus not having a beadlock is when I get on the throttle, because the rim stays put on the tire stays put on the rim, now it just uncontrollably wheelies. I got to keep letting out, because if I don't let out, I'm gonna end up on my ass. So in the video, you'll see me, it'll wheelie once, wheelie twice, and it finally sets down once it's through the torque of the power band. And it's stable. It just rides like it's on a sheet of glass, which is what we've been trying to achieve with this, to actually test a top speed and be able to hold on to it. So you're gonna see that, and we're gonna show you that video of me riding it right now. Out. All right, top speed, let's reset this, 0, oh, 0.2, I'm wiggling. Put this in my pocket. It's cold outside today, guys. Still 33.4. Limoncello is delicious. There's only one way to drink it, and it's violently shaken over ice and then poured into a glass. Now this is a Crown Royal cup, but I'm breaking some rules here. I can already hear you guys typing in the comments. You should be drinking Crown Royal in your Royal cup. Whatever. Anyway, so what I'm gonna show you next is the video of me dry revving it, and just the lean bog in mid-range is disgusting. But anyway, check it out. This is what it looks like when it hits 20,000 RPMs. Here it comes. Alright, I'm not going to make this video completely pointless. What I have next is, and I think I've talked about it on certain platforms of social media of what I want to do. I have a little bike that used to be super sketchy. Back in the day, there was the G23LH engine, which was the second generation engine that came stock on the Sports and the Bigfoots. That engine was known phenomenally for the fact that it was super reliable. It had a decent amount of bottom end torque, a little bit of work. You could have a 25, maybe 27 mile an hour scooter with like simple upgrades like a spindle, a carb, HP carb, and like some cheap pipe, like Jet Pro pipe or something like that. Anyway, I made one super sketchy back in the day. I had an LH motor that I put a head kit on, and I want to do that again. Let me show you the bike. So this is the bike, and what is on this bike is not a traditional scooter engine. I used to work at a landscape company, and they had a head trimmer that the gearbox had come apart in. Well, I went ahead and I convinced them to let me keep it, and the bolt pattern was correct, and it had a tapered crankshaft and accepted a spindle bolt. Zero modifications, bolted right on. Downside is the cylinder's backwards, exhaust out the front, and then you have carburetor on the rear. The tricky thing with the way the carburetor is on it and the exhaust leaving out of the front, it used to have a side exit exhaust and it blew shit all over the machine. So I actually welded a pipe to run out underneath of it. Now it says Kawasaki KHT 600S. I have no idea what cc this engine is. I think it only does 17 mile an hour tops. And it's slower than shit. This motor has to come off. This thing needs to make some power. So, I got a Sick Toys torque pipe here. It's like twice the size of an ADA Series 1. And what I want to do is I want to put the LH big pipe, complete torque monster, and see if I can make this thing super sketchy. I'm going to order a matched set of wheels and tires for the water-cooled Sport, and then take the beadlock that's on it and put it on here. Because I don't really care if the wheels on this match or not. They don't need to be pretty. I'm not too worried about that. But let me show you what this motor is and what it looks like. Let me switch cameras. Okay, so what we have here is a traditional set of LH cases. It's got fast eddy bearings in it and brand new seals. This engine is going to have a full circle RC crankshaft inside of it. I really hope you guys can see this on camera. But yeah, we're doing a full circle crankshaft. I want to get as much stuffing in here as possible without using an actual stuffer. So full circle RC crankshaft. Next, I hope this doesn't destroy the high compression we're going to run. We got a lightened flywheel. I lightened it here at my house. If you want to know how to lighten a flywheel for an LH, go check out my video, my Bigfoot, where it talks about free horsepower and some free modifications you can do. Basically, every other fin gets cut, and I just cut them out with a pair of dikes, and then I go with my porting tools and I smooth them out and make it look real pretty. I keep as much of the meat on the thickness here so that way it can still stay together and not want to blow apart because it's not as strong. This one actually machined this off a little bit because I wanted it to sit a little bit farther in to get better alignment to the coil. I learned that didn't matter, so don't stress yourself over that. I got 2 domes here. This dome here is 16:1. It says 16 on there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Anyway, this one says 16:1, so this is going to be the 16 dome. And then this one here is a 13:1. It's kind of hard to compare in this camera. Hopefully you guys do. I polished them. I just wanted to see if it'd make a difference. I doubt that it will though. I don't know any high horsepower engines that have polished heads. I know you polish exhaust ports, but not necessarily the head where the combustion is. So the 16 is on this side. This is the 13. It's a very small difference on the inside of the dome. The only major difference is my screwdriver at. If we can kind of compare on the squish here from here to here, the actual squish area is that the squish area on the 16 appears to be a lot longer than the 13. I don't have anything to measure that right now, but basically the area of the dome itself is smaller. This is the 88 head kit that it fits in. This was for, I believe, a G2D. Yeah, it was a G2D girdle back in the day. But basically, if you guys haven't seen head kits, this is how they work. Their domes are interchangeable. They go in, 4 bolts, hold you on top of the cylinder, and you get a copper O-ring that goes inside of the dome itself, and that's what seals it to the top of the cylinder. Let's talk about the cylinder a little bit. This cylinder is a LH cylinder that the top has been cut off. The way it looks like it was turned in a lathe and then trimmed out of there. This top portion here was threaded to accommodate the head kit adapter. So if we'll just put a dome in here, and this kind of just bolts on just like that. That closes off your cylinder. This cylinder is ported. The exhaust has been widened. It has not been polished, and the intake has been widened and has also not been polished. But if we look at the cylinder, it still has a nice dull finish on the inside there, and that dull finish is a nickel plating that still exists. Now, we're missing a little bit up top, which is common with LH motors because the pistons are actually tapered and so are the cylinders. The cylinder actually get tighter up top, so you can't actually put the bottom side of the piston inside the top of the motor without using brute force, because it doesn't fit because everything's tapered. It slides in the bottom just fine because the cylinders are tapered. So the cylinders being tapered means it tightens as it gets to the top. They do that to tighten up the ring gap as it travels up, to eliminate the amount of resistance you have on the bottom end, because basically you only need to generate compression above the ports. So why not make it smaller above the ports? The piston, this is a stock G23LH piston ordered off DDM Racing. The reason it took me so long to make this video is because I thought that most pistons, like in cars and stuff and bigger machines, come with a set of rings and hardware. Well, I had to order all that separate. This piston, I did modify. This is completely experimental to me for what I did to this piston, and if you can kind of look in there, I shaved away all the extra material that I think we don't need. All the casting marks are gone, and actually lighten the piston. I do not have a scale to measure this, and I really wish that I did. For comparison, this is a stock unmodified piston. You see the casting marks and everything still in there compared to the piston that I have where I took all that out. Is it going to make a difference? I don't know. You know, I mean, I look at it like the less weight on the piston means less reciprocating mass. And with the less reciprocating mass, the more power you can make, because the less you lose through transfer of energy into transfer of inertia, basically having to move the piston. I'm not going to assemble this right now. Basically, what we need to do is we need to do a top speed run of the bike. And as soon as I can do that when it's sunny out, we'll do a top speed run of the bike the way it is. And then we'll pull that motor off and put this motor on. And we'll go about it from there. So stay tuned, guys. We got some hopefully some cool stuff coming up, and I really hope you guys will enjoy this, all 7 of you. So